Hi, this is Susie Chill from susiechill.com, and today I'm talking with my friend and author Lynn Serafinn, and she's just launching today the 7 Graces of Marketing: How to Heal Humanity and the Planet by Changing the Way We Sell. And I've had the pleasure of reading this book. You can see Lynn's been holding it up. The cover is The
Great, isn't
cover
it?
is so vital. What I love is, because I love colour, but I love the rainbow, and you're drawn to that eye. So it's really talking to you and about how you are going to look at marketing.
And it's also kind of like the sun rising over a dark horizon
Yeah.
and the light, and it's about eye-opening. There's a lot of symbolism in the cover, and also the 7 colors, really representing the 7 graces. I worked with a terrific graphic designer. I had the concept for it, but she's the one who turned it into this beautiful cover. Her name is Renee Duran. It's just fabulous. So anyway, just a plug for her because she's a terrific designer.
So this is Lynn. This is your second book, isn't it?
Yeah, as you know, Susie, you and I met on the launch of my first book. The first book is called The Garden of the Soul: Lessons from 4 Flowers That Unearthed the Self. That came out in the spring of 2009, so it's almost 3 years ago, if you can imagine that.
Wow. That's how long we've known one another.
I know, it's gone fast. Yeah. So this is the second one, and it's quite a bit different. That book was kind of my catharsis book. It was very poetic. It was very autobiographical, but it was more kind of like short storytelling, and I was experimenting with lots of different literary styles and poetry and things because I've been a poet since I was a kid. This book is quite different. This book is, it's really, I think, everything I ever thought about the world and the universe in one book. Reflecting upon my current angle in life, which is my role as a marketer. And it's talking about the impact of marketing upon our economy, our health, our environment, our natural world. It's talking about how it impacts us emotionally, financially, and of course, as I said, environmentally, and societally as well. Just as a society, the things that marketing and big businesses, kind of the whole consumer culture, how this has changed us over the last 100 years or so. And it took me 2 years to write this book because it took me a lot of time to research the things I wanted to say. I didn't want to just talk about what I think, what my opinions were, just from superficial observations. I wanted to give a lot of facts, statistics, things that I could say, this marketing campaign happened, as a result this happened, as a result these statistics changed, and I go into things to do with the rise of certain diseases. I talk about certain environmental issues that parallel certain marketing campaigns, and really I hope that the purpose of the book, the intent of the book will be clear, is for people to ask themselves, is marketing making us ill on many, many levels? And if it is, how can we turn that around? How can we make it into something positive and life-giving and something that really communicates value instead of creating an overconsumptive society? I do talk an awful lot about, just our consumer mentality and the reasons why we have the consumer mentality. And I'm hoping that when people read it, they'll see how many things they buy and how much debt they go into as a result of marketing, so that they become empowered consumers. And also, if we're business owners, that we become conscious and responsible business owners who really change the way we sell and market to the public.
Right, that's great. And one of the things that I've got from when I first started reading your book is I like the way that you introduce yourself, your experiences, because you have aspects of your life in there that align very closely to things that have happened to me and whatever else. And I think that there'll be probably a lot of the people that you work with as well, the spiritual authors and those sort of people who will relate very closely to that.
Yeah, not just authors. You're right, Susie. What I did notice was that people in creative industries and also in holistic professions or not just spiritual, but health industries,
Yeah.
things anywhere where people are kind of a bit more on that kind of sensitive, intuitive, internal, reflective personality trait side of things. Those kinds of people tended to hate marketing, and they didn't necessarily know why. And that was the original reason why I wanted to write the book. I wanted to give people some insight into the unconscious mechanics of marketing so they saw why they actually hated marketing, and see that they didn't have to do the things that they hated in order to market well, because there are a lot of really legitimate things about marketing that not that they're legitimate things, legitimate reasons why these people didn't like marketing, that because the things I cite an awful lot of them in the book. I call them the three furies of marketing. I also have the seven deadly sins of
Yes,
marketing.
I like
Now,
the seven deadly
yes,
sins, and
now
I
now
love
those
the counterparts that you
yes.
have with the seven graces of marketing.
Yes. So my hope is that in pointing out the seven deadly sins, people who haven't been able to really have a good relationship with marketing actually see why, and then they kind of let themselves off the hook, and they say, "Oh, I'm not a bad business person. I actually don't want to do those things." So then the seven graces hopefully will be the paradigm that they can embrace, make it their own, and they can be good business people following their values. However, Susie, the while that was the original intention for the book, that it was for those kinds of people. The book is much, much bigger than that, and it took on a whole life of its own. This book is for really every business person on the planet, because the issues that I flag up are so universal, especially some of the environmental issues, the health issues, the economic issues that I flag up, the situation that we're seeing in the economy right now. So much of it is due to marketing. And we don't necessarily realize the connection between the two. And it is time now in history. This is the time in history for us to re-examine our economic model, our whole, capitalistic system, our whole system of marketing and advertising. It's time for us to become responsible business owners, not just small business owners. I'm talking corporate business owners, everybody. It's time for all of us to come together and say, okay, we actually have to serve humanity. We are the servants of humanity as people in commerce. We have to be here. We have to feed and clothe and take care of the public with our businesses. We have to do it right. And really that's what the book is about all business owners coming back to that place of ethics and social responsibility on a holistic level, to people, to the earth, to planets, to plants, to everything, so that we can finally build a sustainable economy and, and just life in general. I believe that there's enough on this planet for everybody when we get it right. Right now, we're not quite doing it right, but I believe we can.
That's one of the things I noticed on the number 6 of your seven deadly sins of scarcity.
Yes.
The
Scarcity.
counterpart of abundance, of course,
Right.
which will appeal to my readers very
That's
much,
right.
seeing it's something
That's
I
right.
write about a lot. But
I
the
know.
other thing I noticed from the book was too, one of the things that it all goes back to, it also originally all goes back to us, that we initially have to have our own self and our own self
Absolutely.
intact
Yes.
and in place. And I noticed that was one of the things that you flagged earlier on, that people, and that applies to whether we're an artist, an author, a business owner, or whatever
Absolutely.
else. We have to know where we're coming from, and also with the changes, as you and I know, through the internet and things like that. It's the importance of building the relationship for marketing is so important as well. And
Absolutely.
I noticed that's something that you highlight there very much as well.
Well, there's a whole section in the book, Susie, on relationships. I call them the 7 key relationships. The first one, as you just pointed out, is the relationship with self. If we don't have good relationship with self, none of the others are going to work. None of our other relationships are going to work, just full stop. The second one is relationship with source, because equally, if we don't have a good relationship with source, we're going to exploit source. We're going to exploit the planet. We're going to exploit resources in a way that will be harmful. And, and I give some of the historic reasons how that happened and what happened as a result of us losing our connection with source. So to me, those two are probably the foundation of all of the others. And the other relationships are our relationship with others, our relationship with our businesses, our relationship with money, our relationship with our audience, which is a little different from just other people, because as business owners relating to our audience, I talk about, a one-way relationship or a coactive relationship with them. And then the last one, of course, is our relationship with marketing. And a lot of people don't realize that they have a relationship with marketing, whether they are aware of it or not. And if we have a passive relationship with marketing, it's just as bad as having a passive/aggressive relationship with a person. It's dysfunctional, and it's not empowering. Or if we have a resistant relationship, it could also not. It doesn't produce anything useful. So I talk about all of these different relationships, and then that lays the groundwork for the 7 deadly sins and the 7 graces, because you have to understand those sins and graces in the context of our relationships. Like, for instance, the first deadly sin and grace is disconnection and connection. Now, disconnection and connection to what? To ourselves, and to source, to money, to marketing, to our businesses, etc. So you have to understand them in the context of those relationships. So really there's several different paradigms in the book. There's the 7 key relationships, the 7 deadly sins, the 7 graces, and I also talk about, as I said, the 3 furies, which are fear, sex, and humor.
Yes.
And those you will see everywhere in all of the
They're used in marketing all the time.
Yes,
We
yes.
see it
And
on the TVs, in the magazines,
yes.
on the internet, everywhere that's used.
Yes. And in the book, when I talk about sex, it's not just about sexy girls and sexy guys. It's more about challenging our gender roles and our sense of sexual identity. And there are some extremely shocking marketing campaigns that I show in the book, especially with regards to the cigarette industry, that really illustrate the conscious manipulation of developing of different gender roles throughout history, throughout the last century, and the parallels of how those marketing campaigns actually impacted our health and our economic situation. It's pretty shocking. So, I hope people will read that and go, wow, and don't want to leave them on a low. I want them to simply, what I would wish for people is that they simply become aware of the way marketing can manipulate our thinking and our behavior and our spending patterns, and start to question how much of this is me and how much of this is programming, and then see what happens. That's all. Just then see what happens. See what changes happen. That's what happened to me. As if you read the book, this started with my television blowing up.
I thought that was the most wonderful. I just thought the way you related that, and the fact your immediate reaction, wow, I've got to have £300
to buy a new TV.
To buy a new TV, because that was your first reaction.
Yeah.
But then when you thought it through and whatever else, and how that changed your life.
Yep,
basically.
absolutely.
And do you still not have a television?
I still don't have a TV.
Besides the launch of your book, which is happening now, you've got some big plans. Yes, that's right.
I'm hoping by the time this airs, I could say that the book is already #1, but we'll see.
Well, we'll be watching for that, and that we hope that everybody who's watching this heads over and gets Lynn's book. But Lynn, you mentioned that you've got, this is sort of, for me, I suppose it's one of your dreams. You mentioned that you saw this as starting as a movement. So in some ways, you know how I love change. And so this, in some ways, is a movement of change in marketing. And you've got some plans, not for people just to buy the book, read it, and implement it for themselves, but you've got a much bigger vision.
Much bigger. Well, first of all, the book starts out by saying, this is a book of questions, not a manual of answers. And because I don't have the...
That's great.
Well, I had to write it. In some ways, Susie, it's a disclaimer. But in other ways, it's an empowerment to the reader, because the object of the book is to get people to ask questions together. And I'm active with the Transition Network, the Transition Initiative here in Britain, And really, that is all about small communities creating solutions, in the case of transition, about sustainable solutions in society, and that the answers can't come from some big government or business. It has to come from local communities, because the local communities know what's best for
That's
them.
right.
Now, the idea behind the book is the same thing. I want groups of people, pockets of people, to come make reading groups together, talk about this book, and make change within their small circles. I want teams within larger companies to come and read this book and make change within their companies. And then ultimately, I want all of these people to come together within a couple of different things that I'm starting in the new year. I'm going to be starting an online 7 Graces of Marketing community, and that will have basically people are members of the community. Basically, if they buy the book, they're going to be a member of the community. They just have to make sure that they come through me so I know who they are. They will then come to monthly talks by people online, and we'll get to discuss things and ask questions and hash this. It's kind of like a big mastermind. I want to create an online community, like a forum as well. But also, I am in the process of organizing physical events. I have one that I'm planning in London in June. It's the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of June. I don't have all the details yet. I'm still negotiating the venue. That will be as an event for about 150, 200 people to come together for a 3-day weekend, for a combination of keynote speakers, breakout groups, masterminding, mini seminars, and basically coming together to create mission statements for themselves of how they're going to implement this change in their own businesses and how they can impact the community around them. And as a support group as well. I'll be repeating that in the United States probably in December of 2012. Would love to come to Australia and do it.
I was about to say, I
Yeah.
was going to ask you, are you going to take this
Well,
to the States? Because for those of you who
it
don't
has to be
know,
collaborative. Yeah,
Lynn actually is from America originally, from the
yeah.
USA, and you have dual citizenship, don't you?
I do have dual
Yes.
citizenship. Although I'm not from California, but most of my followers seem to be out there, so I thought,
So
well, I'll go.
Australia would be wonderful.
I've never been.
Well, we'll have
Yeah.
to look at how we can manage that.
I'm trying to not have too many air miles.
Yes.
So but we'll look at it because
it is a long flight from London to Australia.
However, if I only had it in one place, then that would force many people to fly from the United States as opposed to just me, to go there or down or whatever. But I'm also, for people who want to be really green, we'll have I'm thinking of having, through Skype, through, Wi-Fi on the screen, so there'll be interaction. However, there's something about being in the same physical space with each other to create great energy.
There is that, but I was just thinking, yes, you could get you could not teleport, but you could have I was just thinking that we teleport.
That'd be great.
Into somewhere. But I was just thinking, if you had sort of like companies here, or a company here that had 10 or 20 employees, you could actually be on Skype and actually talking to those people as if you are in the room, and I think that could be a really good way to start.
I am considering that in London. The whole building that I'm looking at is wired for Wi-Fi. So it'd be kind of funny if I have a whole lot of laptops around the room and everybody's just talking to each other's laptops. I think we need a few bodies in the room too. But I know that's going to be, I'm going to utilize all the technologies because we don't have to spend all the money and the petrol on travel like that.
And getting everything set up and the rooms and things like that. You can have one place. You can do what Oprah has just done with her whole new learning classroom online that was so exciting, where she had an audience, but she talked to people around the world on Skype.
Absolutely. No, we'll be doing that. But I haven't worked all the logistics out yet. I do want to encourage people to think green. Don't travel if they don't have to, and to give incentive for that and to involve people in some way, because we'll reach so many more people.
Oh, that's right.
If we think like that. So.
Yeah, And you will
Yeah.
set out about creating that change, the ripple, and the more people are involved, then they will expand it out. So, this is why I once interviewed you for the Change Warrior Project.
Thanks.
Well, this has been wonderful, Lynn. I wish
And
you
that's the book again.
the book, and the link will be below the video where you can head over to get that book today with an amazing number of bonuses. And when you get the book, you'll see in the beginning the testimonials from a real cross section of people that Lynn had read the book and have praised what she has done. So, Lynn, I wish you all the success with this book. I can see
Thanks,
that
Susie.
this is going to create change. And
I mean, this is for everybody. It's for our kids and I mean, I've got a grandson, you know, and I dedicated the book actually to him because I don't want him to inherit the way we are currently running the world. I want him to inherit a much better place. And I think if we start now and start, you know, really educating the youth, that by the time they become, you know, my age, they'll have recreated the world with us starting that change. The world will be a much better place in the next couple of generations. This isn't going to come tomorrow, but if we don't start now, it'll never come. So
that's it.
Yeah.
Change takes time, and I can see this happening for the good.
Yeah, thanks.
So today I've been talking with Lynn Serafinn, the author of 7 Graces of Marketing. This has been Susie Cheel, and I look forward to talking to you again soon, Lynn.
Likewise, Susie. It's always a pleasure. Take care.
Bye.